Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank. How's your fandom treating you? It's a new year, and let's go over the past year. 2024 was, how do we say this? Well, from my perspective as a reader, DC was finally trying. Alright? Weird thing to say DC's finally trying, because if you've been with me for any short period of time, I pretty much do nothing but read DC, so maybe I'm the problem. But we're not here to address my problems, we're here to address DC's problems. Honestly, though, as I said, this felt like a year where DC put in its best foot forward after the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths. I'm sorry, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. Um, we went through something a little bit of absolute power, the whole nightmare scenario thing here. For once, DC told a story that felt legitimately earned from start to finish. It just wasn't really that good. But again, whatever. Who am I to nitpick other than the person with this channel? So, despite all that, I did find some fun things to read, some stuff that really warmed my little black heart. And to show I'm not truly wholly without heart, I've brought in a guest. A guest. How are you, guest?
I am doing just fine. Hope everybody's having a fantastic new year. And, thanks for viewing the channel.
Thank you. So, did you enjoy your reading for 2024?
I did. I am slowly getting into reading comics more. So this was the year that I, kind of swapped over to physical and started building my collection and everything. And I've had a very promising year with what I've read.
Good. So, um, since you are the guest, I will let you go first as to exactly what some of your favorites were. So, please, whenever you're ready.
All right, so I know I'll get hate for it. So I did get a chance to read majority of what the Absolute series put out this year, and I did enjoy a lot of it. However, I did not get to read much of it because it did come out close to the end of the year. So I kind of went with something that only had one issue come out this year, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm gonna have to give my DC pick for the year to Green Lantern Dark. I thoroughly enjoyed the story on that one. It wasn't, once again, it's just the first issue for it, but really good. I'm a big fan of the artist. It's got the same artist from Something's Killing the Children and House of Slaughter and all that. And it'll be no surprise later what some of my favorite indies are from this year. But yeah, Green Lantern Dark had, that, that was a good start for my DC.
All right. I had a sort of. I like the atmosphere of Green Lantern Dark more than I liked the overall story, but issue 2 is out, and I probably will pick that one up, sort of get my feelings on it. Um, for me, for DC, I had to pick three. I just like there were three very good DC books this year, um, from mostly start to finish. A little hiccup here and there. Surprisingly, it is not the main Batman line. Um, Zdarsky's Batman is fine for the most part. It's falling. I think it more speaks of the general problem with Batman currently now than anything Zdarsky has done himself. Granted, I use that same excuse for Tinian and even for Robinson. So maybe at some point I just have to bite the bullet. Maybe there's just a problem overall. But I'm trying not to blame Tom King for everything when it comes to Batman. Although I probably could if I really want to put in the work for it. But anyway, for DC, I have Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern. It was a nice, refreshing, simple return to Green Lantern, addressing some of the weirder issues going on, left over by Jeffrey Thorne and some of the United Federation of Planets and the destructive Central Power Battery. Jeremy Adams, I think, did a great job of sort of making Green Lantern fun again, as well as not overhyping John Stewart in a way that I don't think he needs to be overhyped.
Uh,
Um,
my man doesn't need any more hype. John Stewart is already, probably one of my favorite Green Lanterns.
yeah, yeah. Overall, really fun, really great book. If you're looking for a Green Lantern book to read that is current, I would say this is the best time to do it. Um, Superman. I have not enjoyed Superman since DC Rebirth started and Peter Tomasi left the book. That's been a while. As a matter of fact, that was, I think, our last comic run talk, which was on Tomasi's Superman along with Dan Jurgens' Action Comics. Uh, this new Superman book is, I think, really fun. Joshua Williamson, who is sort of love and hate. You know, it all depends on what you want from him and what you get. But this was a Superman book that was very close to what I wanted. We were at the Daily Planet. We were seeing all these different writers at the Daily Planet. We had Lex trying to quote unquote be a good guy. We had very little of adult John Kent, who I really hate that I just don't like him. I really do. I really do. I miss liking John Kent. I really do. It's like end of an era. But also
I
Jimmy
mean,
Olsen.
anything they can kind of. My fault, go
No,
ahead.
it's okay. Also, Jimmy Olsen got a girlfriend.
All right, Jimmy on the come up. I definitely agree with that.
He's dating Silver Banshee.
Wow. So yeah, that is, that is definitely the come up.
Jimmy got him a baddie. Jimmy,
Mhm.
literally. Um,
All right, Jimmy.
yeah, that book has been fun. It's been enjoyable, and it's not as good as Tomasi's, but that's not fair. Tomasi does a lot of really brilliant work, and I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on here. Oh, Lex has amnesia now.
So does he still hate Superman, or like
No.
does he? Oh,
So
that's
here's the thing. Lex hasn't really hated Superman for a while. He's been trying to be like his friend. He tried to be Superman for a while, and he was like, okay, that's not going to work out. Well, I will get the trust of this Superman. And I'm like, okay, it didn't quite work out. But then, after the whole Martian thing, well, not Martian, the whole Perpetua story, Lex decided to throw a curveball. And how can I say this? How can I say this? He gave Superman his company,
oh
called it Supercore. Also, you may not know this because I'm pretty sure you didn't read Brian Michael Bendis' Superman. Superman revealed himself to the world.
oh. So we no longer have identities
Well,
or
no,
super
because
identities.
Lex wanted to be more petty, and what he
Of
did was
course.
he erased everyone's minds, with the exception of Superman's friends and family, like that tight knit group of people that would have already known. And what he did then was anyone who connects the two will have a stroke.
Oh, that, that's kind of devious. I mean, I just feel like we could have done something a little different. I feel like a stroke is kind of going a bit too far.
That's what happened to Perry. I was like, not Perry White. He's already an old man.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Well, I just will never make that connection in my life ever.
So, but Lex has currently lost his memory after the whole House of Brainiac story, and
Uh-huh.
he's he's been hard to be around just because, like, he's Lex, but he's not Lex right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe this is therapy for Lex. At the point, maybe maybe this is for the best for him.
He's low key unintentionally flirting with his assistant.
I feel like there's no unintentional.
Probably not on Mercy's part, but anyway, our final one, because I could not help myself, and I really hate that I couldn't help myself. Absolute Batman.
It was a out of the three stories that we got, I just feel that it utilized its time a little bit better than the others did.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it just because of how this Batman is designed. He like I don't know how people can figure out that he's Bruce Wayne when he looks like that normally. Uh,
My man is built and he's been working out, and I'm just saying there can only be so many body types in Gotham City. Like there's no I would have connected the dots, but hopefully I wouldn't have got a stroke for connecting the dots.
there's also just a lot more to be excited about than with the other ones because we have Joker coming in as the reclusive billionaire who's killed the leader of the League of Assassins. We have B- Batman's Rogues Gallery. We have Riddler, Croc, Penguin, Harvey, and Selina pretty much growing up with Bruce as like there's childhood friends.
I mean, and maybe it's how it's supposed to be. I mean, once again, I didn't really want to see Joker in the limelight again, but it was well done. I mean, it definitely did add a little bit at the end of it, for me to be like, you know what, okay, issue number two is probably going to be pretty good. And we got to give flowers to Alfred too. Alfred is just out there doing his best, man, like
The most
chasing people down.
the most hilarious thing about Alfred in this book is that Tom King had Alfred killed off in his Batman run. That was well over 3 years ago. So Alfred's been canonically dead since then.
3 years.
I think it's been more than 3 years. He's been canonically dead for more than 3 years. Yet every good story involving Batman has been out of continuity and just has Alfred there. Or if it's in continuity, there's a flashback of Alfred. Alfred has never really left the Batman book.
I mean, then I just feel like we have a common denominator here. For a Batman to do well, Alfred has to be.
it, it just like I'm wondering at what point does DC just go like we need to bring Alfred back because there's actually no reason for him to be dead. Tom King didn't even plan for him to stay dead. He wasn't even supposed to be dead, but DC was like, "No, kill him."
Oh God, not the old Yeller scenario.
And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But yeah, that is it for me for DC. I'm looking forward to seeing more from the JSA, the Two Face book. Um, there'll be more stuff from Batman. Like Zdarsky's run, I think, is coming to an end. And there's going to be a Hush story coming up, like Hush 2, apparently.
I do plan on getting a bit more DC under my belt in 2025. Of course, I have the recommendations that you've given me, and I know we plan on doing our Jeff Johns runs together, a little tandem read. That sounds like a lot of fun to me still,
Yeah.
even though it's not current stuff. Um, but as far I mean, for what I did get out of DC this year, still coming into it, or kind of new to the comic scene. I did still enjoy the Absolute run. I did read like one or two of the little DC Horror Presents in October, accidentally, but it was still kind of fun to read, and then getting to read the Green Lantern Dark. So I mean, I definitely want to see more from the Absolute series. Definitely enjoying that, and uh, hopefully I can. Oh, you know what? The Zatanna run. I can't believe I didn't think about that one. The Zatanna breaking down the house. I feel like that at least deserves an honorary spot in my well, that and the Plastic Man run. Uh, J- Plastic Man more for the story, very very original story. I do like the fact that, well, I mean, I know we already discussed you don't really care for how the league is out there treating Plastic Man, but it kind of shows that he was a bit of an asshole, and he's finally he has to do all this crazy stuff, and I just thought it was funny. But bring down the house for Zatanna definitely deserves an honorary spot on art alone. The art for that book was just amazing to me. It was so good. um, just I was say, yeah, for the 5 issues it had, it definitely definitely did good.
Yeah, I actually am going to read the rest of Zatanna, and I will probably bite the bullet and read Plastic Man. I probably will. But for those of you that don't know, because we never told you, I certainly didn't tell you, um, the guest and I, we'll call him guest until further notice, until he has his official coming out party, and we'll grant him a name. Um, we plan to go over Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. We'll meet up every 7 issues, and we'll just talk about what we read for the most part, and pretty much the same style of this one. If you're excited about that, again, don't be afraid to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know how much you hate us, or if you like us. And if you really hate us, send us to your mortal enemy. Send us to your mortal enemy.
Oh, of course. Better yet, if you send me a tip, I will make sure to say something completely unhinged during this, and that way it can be directed straight towards your mortal enemy.
There we go. There we go. All right, so I think we covered DC, so I think it's either Marvel or something not of the big two. It's up to you, guest.
Feel like we'll go ahead and knock out the big two here, because I feel like I'm gonna be a little bit all over the place with my Marvel picks. Marvel has been a very interesting run for me this year because that's what I came in on physicals for. Um, so I had recently started the Krakoa era, and I was lost. I had to go to my local comic store to get some direction, and pretty much every bit of direction um, I got was Hickman has done quite a number on the X Men series, and just to wait for the new one, which I still enjoyed what I did read of the Krakoa series. I did not get a chance to finish it, so I did come into the From the Ashes series a little miffed because I was like, I don't know everything that happened, but I'm still enjoying myself. But I did get in at the start of Blood Hunt, so I did get to do I read Blood Hunt. I got to read the side stories for that. That was a lot of fun. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think about my year with Marvel. The Doom one shot that came out, that was really good. Once again, just showing why Doom is a problem at all points in time. But he, more than anything, is the solution. But for my favorites this year, and it's unfortunate that I can't say Devil's Reign because it because I did get a chance to read that. That was so good. I'm gonna have to probably give my favorite, even though I have not finished it. I might have to give it to Uncanny X Men. Uncanny X Men's just been so good, and they've just had like a very original story for me so far. It's kind of a toss up between that one and Ultimate Spider Man. The Ultimates universe has been a lot of fun this year as well.
Yeah, so as everyone knows, I'm a very bad Marvel fan. I really am. It's not even anything personal. It's just like I pick up maybe two or three Marvel books, which is weird because one of the first stories I read when I got in the comics at the time was Jason Aaron's Thor: God of Thunder,
Okay.
which led into Jane Foster Thor. Um, I was on the ground for that, and it was wild the discourse on that one. But that's a story for another time. Um, I'll usually pick up anything Doctor Strange, and I did start reviewing Doctor Strange, but I was like, you know what? I'm just every now and then a Marvel book will go a direction. I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. I just can't. Um, Same with the Fantastic Four. Um, but for this year, there were two Marvel books that really got my attention. Um, One was Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. See, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Which is weird because I very rarely enjoy Spider-Man. I don't know why. Peter Parker and I just don't get along. And I can't even try with Miles. I can't even try with Miles. I just can't.
Which is, kind of surprising given your taste in comics. Like, I feel like the fact that my boy Peter can never get a break, and pretty much any run I've been able to read with him, it's always just been him having the worst time ever, some form or the other. And I figured that would be down your alley.
I read Charlie Brown for that. Uh, it's the same concept. Um,
Oh my gosh,
like
but
you,
yes, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Charlie Peter Parker is the Charlie Brown of Marvel Comics. And I know people wouldn't really believe this concept because he's a billionaire, but Batman is also the Charlie Brown of of DC Comics because nothing ever goes his way. He'd like to not have people constantly telling him to kill the Joker. He'd also like the Joker to stop being the Joker
Does that make does that make Selena his Lucy? Like
for the
anytime
streets. I mean, literally. So they got like quasi married in Tom King's Batman run. And then it turns out a couple years ago, she was part of a plan to take all of Batman's money. And then after the money is gone, and then they get it back, he doesn't have direct access to it, so he's not rich anymore. Selena pretty much just goes off and does whatever, just like sleeping with other dudes. I'm like, what is this? What is this? Um, but
For the streets.
exactly. But coming back to Ultimate Spider-Man, coming back to Ultimate Spider, let's be fair. Um, I'd hate to talk about Spider-Man and then just go segue right into Batman. That is not fair. I can hate on him later, but but the other Spider-Man story I liked is Spider-Man and Mary Jane, which yeah. So I think maybe I just like this dynamic more of him actually growing up and living his life. In other words, I like it when the universe craps on him less.
And that's good, and that's a good representation of what Ultimate Spider-Man has been. You get to see my man growing up. You get to see Jay Jonah and Ben hanging out. Like everybody's kind of having a good time, which gives me also a sense of anxiety because if everybody's having a good time, then eventually nobody's going to be having a good time.
They got roughed up by Kingpin, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. First, first off, anytime Kingpin stands his ground against Spider-Man, I'm like, all right, y'all just need to learn to quit messing with this guy.
It's been a fun story. It's been good art. Peter looks good with a beard. Jameson's not being terrible. I guess Uncle Ben really was the linchpin of Peter's universe.
I'm telling you, 'cause, and I always think of the panel where you have Harry coming to talk to both Jay Jonah and Ben, and they keep swapping money back and forth based on the bet on how he was going to try to take this interrogation with them. I'm just like, this is it. I'd read a buddy cop comic with these guys. Like, it's just they did really well.
It's a fun, also little parallel between Bruce and Peter because all Peter needs is Uncle Ben for his life to be all right. Bruce can't keep a parent without being Batman.
Mhm.
If he loses his dad, he becomes Batman. I think if he loses mom, he becomes Batman. There's been timelines where well, no, there was one where no, because when Booster Gold decided to be stupid and change the timeline, it made things worse. Like there are worlds where Peter Parker is fine, he doesn't get bit by the spider, and the world just keeps on trucking. If Bruce's parents aren't dead, the world goes to hell. If Bruce
Yeah,
dies, his parents lose their minds.
that
Mom
was
becomes
scary.
Joker. Mom becomes Joker, and Thomas Wayne becomes a murderous Batman. Um, like the Wayne family can't win for losing. It just they can't. They can't.
I guess it's how they build their interesting story. I'd love to see a situation where they get to, just enjoy themselves, like kind of like an Ultimate Spider-Man type thing. We get to see that, yeah, despite, everything, Peter had a family, he had a job, which is more important. My man had a job and he was making good money, like because we've seen situations where Spider-Man can't hold down a job, and I'm like, you have all these billionaire friends in some way, shape, or form, and you are still out here struggling, pal. Like it always makes me sad on seeing how he gets done sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. But either way, Ultimate Spider-Man has been very fun, very enjoyable. I'm always happy when I find a book that surprises me. And finally, like I said, this one won't surprise anyone if you know me. We reviewed this book on the channel, Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime.
You know what? I guess that does kind of a Marvel title. I'll
It
give you
it
that.
is. It is. It was under Marvel. It's even like little labels on the cover. All right. The thing is, I love that it exists more than I love the story itself. Um, because I read Jason Aaron's forward to it, and he's talking about how much he loved Uncle Scrooge. I'm like, you say that, and I hate to sound like a gatekeeping ass, um, but your entire story was pretty much a take, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It felt like you took maybe two takes on Scrooge and rolled it out there, which is fine. Which is fine. But your forward really it made a bigger promise than I think you delivered on. But that's whatever. You really seemed it really seemed to just want to it had such a great premise, like the multiverse of Scrooges, the Scrooge above all. I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. This is cool. And there have been some very interesting DuckTales and Uncle Scrooge comics where either all of his villains team up or he has to team up with Darkwing Duck. That's a short yet wild story that's actually pretty fun. I've been meaning to go over that one. Um, it doesn't address the issue of Launchpad between those two shows, but whatever. Um, this one was just fun, had great art. The ending, it shouldn't have been a one shot. It should have been at least three issues, and I think it would have been perfect. Um, but overall, I did enjoy myself.
Since I did not have a chance to view it or read it, I'm taking the time to kind of peruse and look at the variant covers for this. And yes, the very nice variant covers. I can see how this would have been fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So next is our in the lesser of the big twos, the other not big twos. So I've got IDW and Dynamite.
I will be doing since I came in on more of an indie title. I'll be doing IDW Boom and Dynamite and maybe Narcel, because they actually had a surprising uh, book come out this year, and I did not expect to like as much as I did.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I will let you go because there might be something interesting here, and we'll end on me being long winded later.
All right, so I guess I'll start with Boom, of course. So I came in this year and I got Something is Killing the Children. And when I tell you, after reading just the first issue, I began my journey of finding the graphic novels to catch up and simultaneously purchasing the issues that were coming out um, as well throughout the year. And that has to be my, as much as I'm going to have to say it's my first favorite from IDW this year. Not IDW. I think, yeah, from Boom. Actually, yeah, that's probably my number one from Boom this year. It was just a really fun run. I say fun. It was a horrifying run. My girl Erica can't catch a break. She has been dealing with the most, and I've also enjoyed the. I guess I can't really call it a side story, but I've been enjoying the House of Slaughter as well. Very good art, um, and just really solid storytelling over over the year. And I know we ended on I think our issue 0 this year, so looking forward to see how we're going to move forward with it. Or well, since we're already in this year. Um, but yeah, just that's been pretty solid. Now, as far as like let's see. So Image, that might as well be like a three-way tie for me this year. So I got into a little bit of everything with Image this year. The Dark Energon universe probably has to take my top or number one spot. Um, uh, just getting to read the GI Joe crossover with them. We had Destro, Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet. I feel like I'm missing one. But I think I think we just had the four. And then, of course, we had Transformers being really good. And then, the little, I'm not sure how it will tie in just yet, but the Void Rivals. So just, I'm going to collectively put those all in my number one spot, even though they are separate books and everything. Um, Following closely in my number two is going to have to probably be Rook Exodus, also from Image. That's just been solid storytelling and art too. just once again, it just shows that Image takes these neat storylines and is able to just kind of push them out into something crazy, leading me to my number three for Image being the Power Fantasy. And that's just been such an odd story with just some amazing feats that it was enthralling from the first issue, and it's just been such a good read this year. Um, let's see, and
Real
uh,
quick.
oh,
Uh,
go ahead.
no, so Rook Exodus. I've
I
been
was like, yeah,
meaning.
you have image stuff too. My fault. I wasn't trying to
Well, no, no, no,
try to
no, no,
hog
no, no.
everything.
So I popped in because Rook Exodus is written by Jeff Johns, who is dealing with that Green Lantern run we're going to tackle. So you picked quality
I
stuff.
did not make that connection. So that's actually good. You know that since I do enjoy the writing, hopefully it's not going to be as dark of a universe. Um, but yeah, Rick Exodus has been fairly fun for for those of you that don't know. It's kind of like an outer world scenario. They took all these people from Earth and moved them to pretty much Earth 2 to work as farmers and kind of set up everything, and then everything goes awry. It's a really solid read. It definitely is deserving of my number two spot. Um, it's just been pretty fun. Um, did you have anything with Image this year before
Uh,
I go to my next one?
I did not. I did not. Image and I've been meaning to. I think this year I will get into Jeff Johns' um, Geiger Rook universe he's working on. I forget what it's called. Like he's written, I think, like 3 books. Since he's went to Image, like yeah, like he wrote a couple more stories for DC, and then he just sort of like, you know what, I'm kind of done. Uh, but Jeff Johns has the kind of pull where he can just show up at DC like, hey, I want to write a story, and they'll give him whatever he wants for the most part. I think.
Um, Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, that makes me even more excited to kind of get into this Green Lantern run. Um, but that kind of wraps me up for Image. I did have some surprises from Dynamite this year. Um, Unfortunately, it's kind of a weird situation for me. So I came in on my first actual Dynamite comic this year was Space Ghost, and I really enjoyed Space Ghost. I do like the kind of grittier storytelling for it, kind of a more adult situation that's not coast to coast. Um, but my number one from Dynamite this year has to go to Thundercats Cheetara. The spin-off series that she got, well, the kind of like the background series that she got for Thundercats. Uh, I, and I've talked about it before, but I don't know why they weren't using the same artist for Chitara for Thundercats as they were using for Chitara. And it was just a really nice dive into Chitara's backstory and just kind of like giving a little bit more overarching story into like her and what you call it, just the other Thundercats, and I really enjoyed that from Dynamite this year. Um, a runner up for me though would probably have to be the Powerpuff Girls because those are just fun Saturday morning reads right there.
I like it. I like it. At some point, I feel like I missed the Thundercats hype train like in its entirety. Um, so every time it comes, I'm like kind of okay. It always felt like you had to be there from the beginning to sort of like really appreciate it.
So I can understand that. And this was and the one that came out is kind of just like a it's I want to call it a reboot because it didn't change much with it. But I feel that it was taking a little while for like they kind of had a pacing issue for me, which is I just feel Chitara kind of handled a bit better. Once again, kind of new to it, so I'm not sure if they had the same writers. Um, but I just feel Chitara kind of pulled ahead a bit from him, and it was not bad though. And Space Ghost also wasn't bad, but if you asked me to kind of regale you of the storyline in Space Ghost, I couldn't tell you. So that's kind of why I gave it to Powerpuff Girls as my number two. Uh, but I believe last on my Indies list, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna coincide with yours. Um, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from IDW, yo.
Yes, 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 which is hilarious because the last time I was talking about a book just now was me low key bashing Jason Aaron's Infinity Dime. But lo and behold, you give him four Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and all is not forgiven, but we're on the right path. And
This was an excellent start.
yeah,
Uh,
four really good issues so far.
Um, I have not gotten around. I, I mean, I have gotten to. I have not gotten to the fifth issue, but I did read the first four for each of the for the brothers. I'm actually going to take this a step further and say that Michelangelo's is the best out of the four, out of starting, and I'm giving that to him strictly off of Diamond nunchucks, and I will fight anybody that has anything different to say about it.
Well, let's go because I'm telling you right now, crazy Donatello in a fight club talking the
No,
rats, all right, calling them father and still being a genius to me is brilliant.
that I want you to know, I felt so bad because I did get a chance to get around to that one, and that's a very close second because my man was going through it. He did, and the fact that he still tried to save people when the Foot Clan showed up, and I was like, all right, look, Donnie, you don't really owe him nothing, but I understand why you're doing it. But
Raph was just being Raph. That to me was the last part. Raph was just being Raph the whole time.
but but was that not a good introduction? Like, because if you were not hyped for issue two after reading that first issue, I mean, what were you doing? Now, unfortunately, though, our leader, Leonardo, I believe, had the lesser of the four. I do not know if they got or if they got rushed on it because it just seemed like it was a lot of panels of a fight starting and then the fight ending, but nothing really in between. My man was out there talking to turtles and trying to connect with them, and I do understand my man goes on spiritual journeys a lot, but I wanted just a bit more because I was coming off of the high of one and two, and then three was like a splash of water in my face to kind of sober me up, and then we got back into crazy stuff on the fourth issue.
Yeah, we got Leo talking to turtles. Like turtles, I come to die. Why won't you? You pick the ugliest turtles too. I'm like,
It was so horrifying.
I'm like, this is not what I'm here for. I'm not here for these guys. All right, Leo takes himself too seriously, and I think that might have been the point. We sacrificed the story to get this point across, and I appreciate the dedication.
I'll even complain just a bit further because I feel like we dropped the ball on cover A's and physical editions once we got to Leonardo. Because with Raphael and Michelangelo's cover A's, those were so nice. And I even got the cover A for Donatello. But those are just really good. And the first four, of our boys teaming up, and easily one of the best panels in there of them just kind of sitting around pizza, enjoying themselves like that. Like as much as I love my diamond nunchucks, seeing my boys in our brotherly harmony, I love it.
It's interesting because I don't think they've been united for a while. Especially because like the state of the Ninja Turtles comics, like the biggest story for them wasn't really the Armageddon game. It was Last Ronin, where it turns out, hey, all but one of them died. Uh, the selling point for the Turtles has sort of been like disunity because even post Armageddon game, the Turtles like let's just go do our own thing. Um, they, they've been that way since I think since Splinter died. Um, so
he was kind of the glue. He was the common, or the common item between, or the common person between all four of them. So I'm not too sure what happened in the events prior, because of course, I kind of came in on that one since it was a fresh start.
Hmm.
Um, so obviously, Splinter has passed, and our boys are off doing different things, which I'm gonna say Michelangelo managed to make a life for himself out there, a pretty wealthy lifestyle at that. Um, Seeing Raph in jail was not surprising, but then seeing both my boy Leonardo and Donatello going through it, yeah. But just a solid start for them this year, and I'm definitely anxious to see what else they do this year.
And I've got two from Dynamite technically. Um,
I should not have skipped over you on Dynamite. My
no,
bad.
it's okay. It's okay because once you said turtles, I was like, you know what? We're gonna talk about turtles. So for Dynamite, I've been in a love-hate relationship with Dynamite for a while. For a while. And it's because every time they do something I think I'd like, they just don't match what I want from it. And I think that sort of speaks to where I want my favorite things to go as someone who's consumed it for a while. So yeah, this is Disney related. You all know me.
Yeah, I feel like we're going towards a very specific build situation.
So Darkwing
Or at
Duck
least one
bored
situation.
me. So Darkwing Duck kind of bored me. All right, it's like every time they had a good idea, they just sort of cut it to like um, a shorter TV episode. And I thought we've switched mediums here. We can go a bit further. Not like I'm not asking anyone to get decapitated here, but we can push the character and the story in a slightly different direction. Like there's tiers to this. We can go Gravity Falls level dark, and it'll be fine. Um,
Exactly.
but we're not here to talk about Darkwing Duck. We're here to talk about Ducktales. Because of course. Now I'm technically breaking my rule here because for my favorites of whatever year, I usually say we have to get to 3 issues. Uncle Scrooge and the
Okay.
Infinity Dime was just a one shot, so it gets to skirt that issue. Um, but we're 2 issues in on DuckTales, and the thing is, I think we have a very interesting story, but this tone is still not working. The art is fine. Um, Scrooge swims through money. That's kind of bare minimum what I need to see in a DuckTales story. Um,
Okay.
he's coming off as a bit more of a worldly adventurer, a bit more in control of his element, less sporadic than DuckTales 2017 Scrooge, which, to be fair, even that one didn't meet my expectations. I'm picky. Have come to admit this, all right? In my first DuckTales D17 review, I said, like, you know what? I'm probably never going to be satisfied because I hold this to a higher standard, all right? I hold the medium to a higher standard. And whatever. But here, it felt like we went below the 87 DuckTales cartoon. Um, and below the comics. Like, we can, again, why aren't we pushing this medium here? Now, granted, if this is supposed to be for ages 7 and up, then I'm the problem. I shouldn't be here. And I will,
Reasonable,
yeah,
reasonable.
and that's
When you
fine.
when you see them when you see them try to push the envelope, and obviously it shows where they get scared, where they feel like they're not gonna hit their target audience anymore. I feel like that's when we end up stuck with, oh well, that could have happened, instead of, yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah. So it's 2 issues in, and I feel like I'm being teased. And I'm gonna give it one more issue to see if I can. Well, I read an interview. I watched an interview on YouTube with the author. I've forgotten his name, um, and he's not a fan of. You feel like he doesn't want to go in the direction of sort of long form stories. I'm like, okay, you and I have already hit a hurdle. You and I have already hit a hurdle. But you know what? Whatever, whatever. If this is just look, if this keeps Ducktales in the current consciousness, in the public eye, then at some point we will get a story that feels like it's made for me. All right.
Okay.
So and again, if I'm not the audience for that, I'm more than happy to wish it well, and I'll dip in every now and then because it is Ducktales, and I have, it's Ducktales. It's Ducktales. If I can deal with Ducktales 2017 and its questionable story decisions, I can deal with this. With that in mind, let's move to our actual legitimate. I really do think was one of my best books of 2024, Gargoyles.
I knew it was coming. I'm a San Antonio of the stone variety.
Yes, Gargoyles quest. Like this quest story, it started off a bit slow. Greg Weisman knows what he's doing. When I heard he was going to be on the book, so the guy that created the show is handling the book. You know what? You can take my money. You can take it. I already joined his Kickstarter, waiting for the book. Um, yeah, yeah. Pledged. We're just waiting for everything to go out. Um, Once I heard that, I'm like, okay, I'm in, and it was one of the best books of 2023 for me. So it's kept momentum. Dark Ages was a bit hit and miss for me. Some creative choices I disagreed with, but whatever. I'm not writing it, but I did pay for it. Um, Here we saw Damone doing what she does best, making things everyone else's problem.
As
Uh,
long as it's not, their problem.
yeah, yeah. We went in directions I didn't think we'd go. I didn't think I would be mad at Cold Stone, but here we are, mad at Cold Stone. Um, like officially, I don't like. So as the events of last year with the Gargoyles book, Goliath and other gargoyles have been granted the like, hey, they are capable of sentience. They can be effectively treated as humans. And I thought, well, that also means that Goliath and gargoyles can't go breaking into buildings anymore to save people. Because that's a crime. Vigilante justice is a crime. But there was some really more personal things that I did enjoy. I didn't want Halcyon Renard to die. I didn't want him to die, but he was old when the show had started, so whatever. I will be very disappointed if we skip past Broadway and Angela's wedding or commitment ceremony. I will be like if they skip that issue. I'm like Greg. He's on Twitter. He's on Twitter. I will like you know what? No, Greg, we got to talk. No, I wanted to. We all wanted to see the wedding. We wanted to see it. Why would you skip the wedding? We want to meet the obvious. We want to meet the obvious guy Lexington is flirting with online. Uh, that all of his friends, all of his rookie brothers, like, yeah, dude, we don't care. We're just glad you're happy because me and Brooklyn, we're swimming in women right now. We've got somebody. um,
I've always I have not got around to reading the comic, but I did enjoy the series back in the my younger days.
it has been very good. It has been very good. It takes place not so the last season of Gargoyles, the Goliath Chronicles. Greg Weisman had already stepped away from the show, so that one technically isn't canon.
Oh, okay, so pretty much heading in the new direction. Well, same direction, but new situation.
So, fun fact again, you remember the Kickstarter I said I joined?
Uh,
So that Kickstarter was to put the comics that he wrote in the 90s and I think early 2000s into actual hardcover or paperback volumes. So it takes from the comics too, i.e., the time when Brooklyn was time traveling.
oh,
Yes.
I mean, I still feel that the hardcovers would still be really
Oh, I
nice.
got the hardcovers. I signed up for the hardcovers. I pledged for the hardcovers. You know me.
I'll say,
I
I'll
like
say,
my bookshelf. So
I'll say.
go ahead.
Oh, oh yeah, I was gonna say, you do enjoy making sure that you get the hardcovers. But I actually did not expect Dynamite from you this year, despite Ducktales being a thing.
Look, look. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Ducktales has a literal chokehold on my life. All right. Um,
You don't say.
Shut up. You are a very annoying guest. but like I thought I had to. I thought I had to. Even like say with the Doctor Who now. After Jodie Whittaker stepped by, I kept saying the problem is the writing. She's currently going to have her own audio set with Big Finish. I'm like, okay, well, I've been complaining that she needs better writing, so I have to put my money where my mouth is. I have to at least give this first set a listen to, and I'll do it.
It can make or break, unfortunately, because I can count on. It would take both, uh, both hands and some feet on, stuff being ruined by bad narrating. Um, so it's an option.
Well,
Hopefully she does well.
the fun thing about Big Finish will be that it will be her voicing. It'll be like an audio play.
Okay.
Yeah, like I enjoy Big Finish a lot, so it'll be fine. She'll at least sound right. I won't have to worry if it doesn't sound like Jodie Whittaker, knowing it's Jodie Whittaker voice. I'm like, you know what? Then we were all wrong. It wasn't the writing. It was her. She can't even sound like herself. I don't
At that point, it's a scrap project. Might as well move on from there.
like. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to admit it, but I think it's time to admit it was the Doctor herself. But yeah, yeah. So Gargoyles has once again enjoyed a second year on one of the best books of the year. I look forward to it. It ended on a very frightening last issue for I think that might be the last issue of maybe this run. 'Cause I think a new one will be coming up. I'm not sure how Greg and Dynamite want to put this out because I thought we would just go Gargoyles, but then we went Gargoyles, and now we're at Gargoyles Quest, and I don't know why we couldn't just call it all Gargoyles. But I don't know.
Now, n- not to bring negativity into the new year. However, I am curious because I do have one in mind. Is there any books or you know what? I'm gonna narrow it down. Did you have a book that you believe just did not live up to what you expected it to be this year?
A couple, but
Well, no, remember, we're not going to bring two. We've had a great book or year of books. I'm gonna limit it to one.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna let you go first because, as you know, I'm long-winded.
So unfortunately, I believe that the book that I just feel I feel like it would have been fine in a manga or in like a manga style where I was able to go a little bit longer. Um, but Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men kind of fell short for me. It's got an interesting story and interesting characters right now, but it is taking forever to get anywhere with it. And unfortunately, I did not keep it on my pull list heading into the new year. The artwork is amazing because once again, I'm a big fan of Peach Momoko's like covers and artwork that she does. Um, but the writing just was not pulling me in the same way like the Ultimates and Ultimate Spider-Man was. It was kind of once viewed it as becoming more of a chore to read it. I was like, okay, maybe I should just wait until this catches up, and if it by some craziness turns into just like the most spectacular X-Men series ever, I'll pick up the trade paperbacks for it or something. But hopefully, we get somewhere in the new year with it.
Okay, okay. So I'm double checking my notes here to make sure that I picked the exact right book because because I could say absolute power, but I had next to no expectations. Absolute power felt earned up until the actual event happened. So it was sort of like Captain America's Steve Rogers. Like watching Captain America reveal that he's been an agent of Hydra the whole time, and then finding out, how this all happened. Red Skull, Cosmic Cube, bobbity bobbity bob, and watching him ascend to the throne of power was way more interesting than watching him actually get it. It just was boring as all get out. Same with Absolute Power. Tom King's Wonder Woman, I will eventually bite the bullet and read that in its entirety. I will, because one thing I've learned about Tom King is his Batman stuff rarely works. It rarely works. more of it works than it doesn't work. But his Strange Adventures, his Mister Miracle, his I heard good things about his Superman. He did a little Superman once story. Have been mostly well received, and I've read most of what he's done. So I'm going to honestly give his Wonder Woman a shot. I think his work, his stuff is better enjoyed in its entirety than month to month.
Okay, I can abide by that. Kind of the same situation I'm in with Ultimate X-Men, where I feel like it'll probably be a better collective story versus a month to month issue. Uh, that way, you can kind of just get everything at once because I have no real like thrill going into the next month. Like, oh God, I need to know what happened, from last month. But it's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, for the books that I won't even say worst. I will say books that have not really lived up to their potential, whether it be as a title or this writer has not been doing the best job they could be doing, in my opinion. In other words, I know they can do much better than this, and they're just not. In my opinion, for some people, this may have been the second coming of Christ. But for me, someone who paid for this book, I'm going to say it's a tie between Chip Zdarsky's current Batman run and Tom Taylor's Nightwing. And I've been on TikTok. I have been, and some people love Tom Tom Taylor's Nightwing. And you know what? I I like that the universe likes Nightwing, but I've never felt a story that just doesn't have any real stakes to it. And I just don't. I'm not enjoying it for the most part. Now, granted, I stopped reading it, so maybe it picked up later, but I read Nightwing for about a whole year, and that makes the second Tom Taylor book I've dropped. His Superman Son of Kal-El. His Superman Son of Kal-El kind of pissed me off. Um, uh,
But the fact that you did give it a year, I feel like the opinion is warranted after following it for as long as you did.
yeah, which is fair. Which is fair. I get that Tom Taylor likes Nightwing, and I get that he values the character. Maybe I wanted more of a struggle for this character. Um, But whatever. At some point, I will go through it in its entirety. Like, okay, looking back on it, it picked up way later than it should have. Like, everything can't be One Piece. All right, I shouldn't have to sit through 2,000 episodes. Um, but for Zdarsky's Batman, I say it's not living up to its potential because I read his Daredevil. I read his Marvel 2-in-1 with Thing and Johnny Storm. I know he can do really good stuff. Like, as a matter of fact, he made me a Daredevil fan. So, when I heard it was on Batman, like, okay, I like this. And then I watched Failsafe happen. Failsafe was fun. I watched him end up on a parallel Earth. That was okay. Uh, there was some good payoff. It turns out you saw the all the different Batman that showed up, right? In
That was probably my favorite part of that. Well, despite watching Failsafe completely dismantle the Justice League, um, just getting to see him travel through all the different Batmans was very entertaining.
yeah. So it turns out, even in comic form, if those Batman showed up in too many panels, they'd have had to have paid for the right to use them.
Wow, I
Yeah,
did not expect that.
yeah, that's why they weren't there as much. I'm like, but you know what? That was fine. The Tim Drake Robin in the backstory was, I think, really good. I'd like him to write for Tim Drake at some point, like a Tim Drake mini story, mini book. Do it. I'd read it. But then
Still my favorite Robin.
he's a great Robin. But then Gotham War happened,
Gosh.
and
Actually, I believe that I'm getting to that in the Sadarsky run. I believe that's the one with Vandal Savage, correct, and his daughter.
yeah, yeah, Scandal
Yeah.
Savage.
Hmm.
And I was like, what is going on? It's like it actually is indicative of a lot of problems with comic book stories now. Whenever they have like a somewhat deep or complex issue, it just sort of devolves. The actual issue itself isn't talked about. Tom Taylor did this in his Superman Son of Kal-El book. That book that just I hate that book. I really do. Um, but what I didn't like about the book was every time it brought up an interesting idea, and then just dropped the idea to say like, "Isn't John Kent amazing? Isn't John great? No, John just cares too much. No, John is right. No, no, no. Of course, Lois. Of course, John is worried Lois Lane might not accept that, her son has a boyfriend. It's not like Lois Lane has been like a picture of tolerance this whole time. You know, Lois Lane homophobic. What you think, John? You think your dad, Superman, would have a problem with you having a boyfriend? John, look, I'm sure the story of teenagers who are afraid to come out to their parents. That's a valid fear, sure. But your parents are Superman and Lois Lane.
There should be no fear of bigotry there.
Yeah. Now, granted, your dad just did come back from War World. He might be like, son, I am too tired to deal with that right now. All right. Is he treating you
Top
right?
of the morning.
Is he treating you right? Yeah. I don't care. Then go.
I believe it was a very fun year, especially with me getting into some newer stuff and kind of dipping my toes in a lot of different areas.
Same. I'm looking forward to more stuff from DC, more of the Absolute Universe. I think the next one is Absolute Flash.
I
Um,
am actually very intrigued with what the Absolute Universe is going. Unfortunately, I still think, or not unfortunately, but to the contrary, I think that my two favorite are probably going to be that Green Lantern cosmic horror type situation going on, and my buddy cop Martian Manhunter. I feel like those are going to be interesting stories.
I think so far it is definitely Batman is being Batman because Scott Snyder knows Batman. Like he wrote the Black Mirror story for Detective Comics. He had his own Batman run. He really he knows Batman well enough that he can do this in his sleep. Superman is going in an interesting direction. Wonder Woman is still trying to find its footing, I think. But we'll see. I want to read more Usagi Yojimbo this year.
I
Uh,
have been seeing that every time I go on Wednesday to the comic book store, and I'm just like, yeah, it stands out because it's just a badass rabbit on the front of the cover every time.
it speaks to the weeb in me. I'm sorry, it's a samurai?
It's a rabbit samurai?
Oh, cool. I've read the old stuff. Um and it's really good. It's really good. Like I couldn't put it down. I'm collecting those omnibuses too this year. Um Oh, my place is gonna be a fire hazard.
Well,
Um,
you can see what I've been doing this weekend with all these books that I've got. I got shelves installed, so I'm ready to join you on that one.
yeah, it's gonna be it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Considering where Gargoyles ended, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there because effectively Demona has declared war in a way she never has before. Um, and she's kind of upset everything, which is fine. Um, let's see here. Hush 2, I'm kind of indifferent about Hush 2. I don't care enough about Thomas Elliot to see this story be repeated again, but whatevs. Whatevs. If Batman, I think, needs a bit of stability, I think it needs a really solid direction. So there's that. I don't care about Wonder Woman's daughter. Like I want to, but I can't. Um, Green Lantern and Superman are probably going to occupy my time the most out of the stuff from last year going forward. But again, JSA, Two Face, Justice League Unlimited, we'll be eating good at DC this year, I think.
I must say I have my eyes on a few titles this year. I must say some that necessarily didn't make it to my list for 2024, only because I did not get to read much of them. I am enjoying the side stories that they've got going on in Marvel with Storm and Mystique, and I think Psylocke had one that came out recently that I picked up but haven't had a chance to read. Uh, As far as DC, I'm keeping it relatively small until I learn a bit more. Uh, just kind of using you for my recommendations. As far as indies, I've been following a few of them. I'm definitely anxious to see where we go with Something Is Killing the Children. Witchblade's been pretty fun this year. But what I'm actually interested in seeing more, and didn't make my list just yet, Darcelverse put out a Piker Mice from Mars comic this year. We got 3 issues of, and I'm definitely looking forward to see where we keep going in the future with that one.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna pick up Dick Tracy. Um, it was there. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I read the first issue. I'm like, you know what? I'll keep an eye out for this. The old detective Dick Tracy. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Solving a murder, solving crimes. Won't be any rhymes, but I'm up for it. I'm up for it. And of course, Jeff Johns' image story. Like, you know what? We're gonna branch out a little more this year, and we'll see how we feel.
If I can make it over to DC, you can make it over to the indie side.
All right.
Well,
All right. All right. I think
but
we good.
yeah, that's I mean, I'm not super long witted. That's about all I can think of, honestly.
All right, all right. So anyway, I think we're kind of we'll end it here today. As you can tell, this is very unprofessional because this is our first time doing this. Definitely my first time doing this. So anyway, if you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. We will catch you all later. What were your favorite books this year? What were your least favorite? Tell me what you hate, fans. Tell me what you hate. Or what you like, whatever. I trust you guys. Next time, Guest and I will be here. We will be going over Green Lantern's Secret Origins, all right, by Jeff Johns. There's also, I think, a foreword written by Ryan Reynolds
Oh,
for this
okay.
printing because, they thought the Green Lantern movie was going to be everything. So,
Or nothing.
this is the Bucket Think Tank and guest name pending signing off. Thanks for watching as always. May your fandom serve you well.
Later, guys.